Good morning. My name is Jenny Lansbury, and I wanted to talk with you a little bit this morning about my experience with James Bible study. When I was thinking about what I might say, I thought, well, I could talk about how those of us who have been coming for a while have formed a bit of a community where we can learn from one another. Or about what a great teacher James is, how he not only leads and teaches, but honors our thoughts and questions. But then I decided what I really wanted to talk to you about was how this ministry that's part of our spiritual growth ministry has changed my life. I grew up going to Sunday school and for a number of years followed a pretty literal interpretation of Scripture. But somewhere in my mid-30s, I set that aside, and I think as typical, I went the other direction. And I began to look at the stories of the Bible as merely myth, and I also began to read after scholars from the Jesus Seminar who were looking for the things that Jesus actually said and did. But after a time, this approach left me kind of cold. And by the time I started going to James Bible study a number of years ago, to be honest with you, I was in a bit of a funk when it came to Scripture. But then in stepped James with a fresh approach. When we study Old Testament books, we talk about how the stories that the ancient Hebrews told helped them flesh out their theology, helped them grapple with the big questions. And I began to see these stories in a new light. When we look at New Testament books, we think about the authors, and we talk about the authors of the gospel or the apocalyptic account and how what they were writing and who they were writing for and what they were all living through influenced what stories they told and how they put their writings together. And all of a sudden, it seemed like I was excited again to approach Scripture, and I could appreciate how the questions and grapplings of ancient writers could speak to me and to all of us today. It may seem like a small change, but it kind of was pretty important to me. The interesting thing is that it is made possible by your generosity, because it was through your giving that allowed our congregation to have someone as our pastor of James caliber, a dedicated scholar who, since the shutdown, has already conducted 3 virtual Bible studies and is working on a 4th. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping to change my life.